Good evening, my fellow commissioners. This is the Colorado Oil and Gas Commission. It is March 16th. It's 6 p.m. or a little after. We have an agenda tonight, and before we move into that short agenda, we will have Hearings Manager and Regulatory Affairs Manager Larson take the roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Bogue.
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Here.
Commissioner Hackett. Commissioner McGowan.
Here.
Commissioner Mesner.
Here.
Commissioner Robbins.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 5 out of 7 commissioners present.
Thank you very much. I see that Ms. Christensen is with us. We are going to do public comment, and then we're going to do commissioner comments. And that really is all we have on the agenda this evening, so it should be a fairly short agenda. So let's bring Ms. Christensen to the floor. I also would note that we received a written public comment from Karen Artell, and we want to thank Ms. Artell for the written public comment. Good evening, Ms. Christensen. Nice to see you.
Good evening.
You are our sole public commenter this evening, so I am not going to put up a timer, and we will listen to you and know that you generally do a good job of hitting the points that you want to hit and then allowing us to think about it. So you're up.
All right, thank you. I prepared, since I'm the only one, I prepared a fancy slideshow for you all tonight. So I hope that you enjoy it. Mostly because there are a couple really important points that I want to raise that have occurred over the past couple weeks that I think are really getting in the way of people being able to make comment. So if it's okay, I'll share my screen with everyone. It's pretty dramatic, but that's how I feel about this. I feel like some of it's inadvertent about how we're being silenced, and some of it is very, very intentional. And I'm trying to find the present mode on here. And for some reason, I'm not seeing that option.
Yeah, take your time. Let's get to present mode. I don't want to. Sometimes you have speaker notes that are your notes, and we don't want you.
Oh, I don't have any notes on here. I like to wing it. I was just kind of getting to winging it. The COGCC website is the first. I would really like to go into present. I'm going to stop my share for a second and see if I can go back and do this, since there's no one else waiting. I had a menu situation. I don't know what is happening here.
Yeah, we're not.
All right, sorry about that. I'm just gonna do this. I'll just present. Sorry, it's one of those days too. Oh my God, now it's totally gone. All right, because the reason I made this slideshow is because it's kind of complicated what has been going on. The COGCC website, this is what happened. On March 3rd, a bunch of us tried to submit public comments of Word 2As for George and Hen and Drake. And I'll share this slideshow with you all so you have all this information I put in the docket numbers. And the link was broken, and staff was super responsive. I emailed Mimi and Angelica, and I said, this is broken. Some of us are trying to make public comments on these Form 2As. And on March 4th, we were told the link was fixed. And so Brent and Tom and Alexis and I, from different groups, we all submitted public comment. And this is Alexis's screenshot she took on that day. You can kind of see it at the very bottom, the 3-4, and it said redirecting, which leads you to believe that the public comments were submitted. Then on March 10th, I checked, and these Forms 2A still showed no public comment. I emailed Mimi, Angelica again, and I said, who sent the problem on to Bryce in IT? Everyone was super responsive, and he said the problem was fixed. and I attempted to do a third comment on George as a test. I had spent a lot of time on these comments. The third one I did, I just like winged it. I was just like, oh, let's just see. And Bryce said, yep, he could see it, but he couldn't see any of the other comments. There had to be at least 12 comments because 4 people at minimum, and these are just the people I know. Like, I don't know who else tried to submit these public comments and thought that they were going through. And the comment window closed for these on March 11th. And I checked this morning and there's still nothing, not even, this is what it looks like, nothing. Not even the one that Bryce said he got for George. And the public comment window has been closed for 5 days. And we've been trying since a week before the public comment window closed. And it's not easy. Like, going through all these forms, whoops, we'll do that. Going through these, it's not easy. Like, this is what Brent said. He made 3 attempts to comment. The portal was down. He filed all these comments. And both times the web page told him that the comments were received. It's a huge burden. And these Form 2s are hugely problematic. And there's 0 comments and we're all commenting on them. They have RBUs that are super close. They have, they're near crop lions and dairy farms. These comments closed before when the OGLA was being returned to draft status. Like, there's not even an oil and gas, I forgot what, location analysis done. Like, staff returned it to draft status and the comments are still closed. So we don't even know what that looks like. That's for George. It's the same for Hen. Hen has a home within 1,000 feet. All of these sites are within, like, this one's within 39 feet of water. Hen is within 32 feet of water. And then Drake is within 15 feet of water. Like, it's not it's not if this irrigation ditch will be contaminated with fracking water, it's when. It's so close. These are state water sources, they're irrigation ditches. All of them are still in draft form with the location analysis, and it's closed. What was it? Hen has 3 non-consent letters. These are super important, and they're showing up as if no one cared, as if no one was giving public comment. So the COGC needs to address these concerns.
Hey, Kate, can I do something different than normal?
Yeah.
Because I think that Hearings Manager and Regulatory Affairs Officer Larson would be able to try to address this. And so normally we don't like dialogue, but I think it might be helpful. Is that okay? And then
Sure.
you might go on to your next
I just want to make sure that I have a second point that really needs to be addressed. So I'm happy to have a dialogue with Ms. Larson. She's been super great on the email, and I connect with Bryce in IT, and he said everything was fine, but it's obviously not, because it's not on the website.
So do you want to get to your second point and then I'll call on Ms. Larson, or do you want to
Sure.
talk about this first point first?
I really want to make sure that you guys hear the second point, because it's even crazier. So first, I just want to know how people are going to address this. You can reopen the public comment. I think that's a huge undue burden, because we've already spent hours trying to put in these public comments and they're not being received. I would rather you just take the notes from the slideshow and address them with staff, because asking people to spend more hours submitting public comment that may or may not be addressed on the website, I would rather just not ask people to do that anymore. So I got this email on March 11th. Noble just offered to give us $5,000 to keep our mouths shut about drilling next door to our home in Weld County. Have you ever heard of this practice before? He told me on the phone that anybody that lives within 1,000 yards or feet, I'm not sure, so obviously 1,000 feet, this fracking pad is being offered this money. My multiple requests to COGCC about whether this operation by Noble is complying with the 181 setback requirements have gone unanswered. I feel all alone out here in Weld County. And I asked the person I received this email to send me something like this, could be true or not. This is the document that this person received from Noble. It's a $5,000 to relocate. But if you don't relocate, you get to keep the money. But if you keep the money, you can't protest. So Noble, which has, if you look, there's 9 2As, or 9 Form 2As for Noble right now in Weld County. And I haven't checked with everybody, but assuming based on this person's phone call, so they followed up, Noble followed up with a phone call saying, we'll pay you $5,000 to keep your mouth shut. I mean, you could say, yes, it's to relocate, but they get to keep the money, but they waive the right to protest. But how do you compete with that? Like, I make 20 bucks an hour and I'm part-time. So it would take me 2.5 months to make $5,000. You know, like that is a chunk of change. And do you guys get these notices? Do you get to see them? That the oil and gas companies are sending out to people?
Okay, are you done with your comment? And then we can try
Yeah.
to respond a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So on the second point, the answer is no. We do not get that information. There is, from my perspective, a long history of operators discussing, negotiating with surface owners and nearby for surface owners, and that's the business that occurs. So the answer to the second question is no. We also don't, our rules don't have us regulating those issues, right? We don't get into regulating how an operator, I mean, we do get into regulating how an operator has to have discussions with people that are nearby. And as you're well aware, our new rules are much more expansive with regard to the notices and the consultations. So that's the part of the regulation that we deal with. And so no, we don't get into that sort of business contractual proposals that exist, and we don't have authority in that arena. So that answers the second point, or at least it's my attempt at answering the second point. And happy to have further discussion about that. I would like, if you're cool with it, to call on Ms. Larson to talk about the first point.
Yeah, absolutely. Mimi's great. And this isn't about staff, but it's about us not being able to voice our concerns.
Yeah, and
that's the problem.
I have a very good feeling that Mimi is going to start the discussion with the concept that we were given a system, and we were only given one system, and we have to make it work. And it is, you know, this is new and different. Our new rules call for much more involvement by stakeholders. And I think that at times we have system glitches. But Ms. Larson, would you help respond to the stakeholders' concerns on the part of the commission?
Certainly, I'd be happy to. And Ms. Christensen, first of all, thank you for alerting us right away, because unless someone alerts us, we don't know, right? There are deficiencies with the permitting comment system from time to time. What I would recommend, first of all, is I will take this back to not only Bryce, but to his manager, and we got to dig deep and figure out exactly what is going on and ensure that we're fixing this and people are able to comment. For these specific OGDPs, I will talk with Ms. Trask, who's the manager of the permitting section. It's her section and her decision whether to reopen the comment period. I will strongly encourage her to do so, because I think that is important to do so. In the interim, though, what I would strongly recommend for those folks who tried to upload their comments and they were not saved, you can file a public comment at any time in an OGDP that is in the e-filing system. That e-filing system is separate and apart from the permitting comment system. And when those public comments come in, I will direct the OGLAs to look at them. So if it's uploaded during the public comment period, that is allowed for under our rules. Even if it doesn't go into the permitting public comment system and it comes into the e-filing comment system, I will make sure that the OGLAs get that and that it is part of their consideration when they're looking at OGDPs.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. Now I just have to figure out how to do the OGDP comment system.
So, Ms. Christian, can I offer another idea? Given that we've got a lot of folks that are spending their time looking at the things that we're looking at, the permitting that we have developed for that, and I don't know if we've done this, Ms. Larson, but maybe we could do it again, or maybe we could point to the appropriate YouTube tape, but you know, a kind of training on, you know, how to navigate the systems and what to do when inevitable glitches show up, so that people know. Like, you are well aware that you can get a hold of Mimi and Angelica, right? But not Joe Smith may not know that. So if that would be helpful to facilitate informed decision making on our part, and to facilitate stakeholder involvement without having to, like, you know, learn new systems on your own, I'm happy to offer that up.
Well, I really appreciate it. The problem with this one is we were told it was working. It wasn't until I triple checked today that I saw the comment that Bryce said he received on the other. It's like, yep, totally working. We are receiving on our end when we comment, it's going to be a couple days and this comment will be visible. So people don't know that their comments are not being seen. And I would just really caution the commission, if you don't see comments on an OGDP, that doesn't mean people weren't concerned. And if you don't see people coming up and saying, I live within 1,000 feet and I'm concerned, they may have needed to make rent that month. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No, I understand. And again, I think what Ms. Larson and I are trying to say is that we are trying to work with a system that is not like the perfect system. And
totally,
it has problems. We're doing our best with it. It's gotten better. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but when you first dealt with the system, you didn't even get to, like, figure out what the name of the document was. You had to open up every single document to figure out what the names were. So now in the e-filing, there's a name. And so you can, like, say, oh, I don't care about that one, but I care about that one. So I'm going to open up that one. So we're getting better. You know, we are doing what we can. We do appreciate you bringing these things to our attention. We'll try to facilitate a educational symposium or forum or something, and work on guidance as well. And Ms. Larson, I think you know, reopening the comment to make sure that all the comments get in would make a lot of sense in this instance.
Well, this is what I just want to caution. When I listen to deliberations, I hear, oh, we didn't hear anybody protest. Well, the person I got this email from, they don't want to come forward because they have a business in Weld County. And if you question oil and gas supremacy at all in Weld County, you're going to get a lot of pushback. Like, I know people who collected signatures for Prop 112, and some of the threats and things that happened to them in Weld County was terrifying. So just please be aware when you're approving all these OGDPs in Weld County that the system's broken on so many ends that it makes it really hard for people to register, whether through your system or all the incentives that oil and gas is providing for people to keep their mouths shut.
Okay.
That's just
thank you for that. I guess my only qualifier is that I don't believe our system is broken on all ends. I think our system has errors at times that we're trying to fix.
Right.
And I can promise you that the fact that at times there may be computer glitches, that is not something that's intentional on the part of my commission, on the part of staff, or anything else. And so I want to clear that air, is that we're doing the best with what the state government has given us in terms of
totally. I absolutely know that, but I just want to make sure that is front and center, that whatever's coming up from, I think these were PDC ones that are closed now. I know that whether there's public comment or whether people who live close are protesting weighs really heavily with the commission. Like, that is something that people take into consideration. And there has been computer glitches and they're not fixed yet. So knowing that, I think, is really important for deliberations. That's all. I'm not trying to say, I'm sorry if it came off that way.
Okay, no problem. Commissioner McGowan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So can I just clarify, are we gonna open the comment period back up for those 3 OGDP applications? Is that what we're agreeing to? I don't want to talk to Sabrina and see if that works out, because Ms. Christensen, according to her comment today, is not the only person who tried to submit comments that she doesn't see appearing. So I'd like to open it up to whomever
I-
tried to submit comments and didn't. So if
I
we
think
could
the
just
best-
open it back up for a week.
Yeah, I think the best we can do, Commissioner McGowan, is provide Sabrina Trask with direction from the commission that we would like to see those 3 reopened up, because it's not our decision. So we can't make a final call. But I'm in agreement. I think you're in agreement. I think Ms. Larson, has suggested it. I bet the other commissioners are good with it. And then Ms. Trask, who I just looked is not on the call this evening, can act upon that direction tomorrow after Ms. Larson meets with her. Did I get all that right, Ms. Larson?
Yeah, yes, indeed. And in the interim too, if the comments are perhaps if people have typed them up and they have them on their computer, they can also just upload them in the e-filing system to that OGDP. So we'll have them there as well, if they wish to.
I would ask that the people have already spent hours on this. I would ask that commission just direct staff to take a look at the concerns that I've outlined in this slide deck. The RBUs, the water, the oil and gas assessment, location assessment still being in draft form. Like that's,
And
I would
Ms.
rather just have staff look at that and not ask people to navigate the system another time for a 4th time.
Sure. And Ms. Christensen, if you get me that slide deck, we will upload it into the record because we'll need to make sure it's in the permitting record. So we will upload it and the OGLs will have it as well for each of those OGDPs.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Maybe as part of training, having dealt with government systems for a long time, we used to have a performance system at CDPHE that you had to do in Word first because you would submit and then it would delete everything. So I just learned my lesson. I did everything in Word first so that I could cut and paste. And so maybe as part of training, we should tell folks that sometimes there's glitches in the system. Do it in some sort of a Word document first so it can be saved and you can cut and paste in case we do have glitches. But I am glad to hear that you feel like you have contacts with staff and that you're getting I prefer to hear that it's the system, but we have people who are trying to help you. That is at least, that's at least that's heartening too. So that's good.
For sure. Like everyone has responded really quickly. I really appreciate everyone's help with this, but there's still no comments showing, even though I've been told by IT they received them. So
we are going to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
So if you send me your slide deck, we will make sure that the OGLs have that, and then we'll continue to get this resolved ASAP.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Just other 2 commissioners, are you thumbs up on direction to open it back up for a period of time? Okay. So we've got that thumbs up.
Okay.
You'll get your slideshow. That'll be another public comment. You have multiple opportunities to get this corrected. And yes, thank you for being with us tonight. This was I think, very constructive public comment session.
All right. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I wanted to say goodbye to Commissioner Nanjapa, but she's not here. So if anybody sees her, tell her thanks for everything.
We'll do that.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Okay. With that, public comment is concluded. We now have general commissioner comments. I would lead with a similar feeling of sadness that Commissioner Nanjapa is moved on to a different spot. I want to thank her publicly for her service to the state. I think all the commissioners and all the staff and probably all the stakeholders would agree with the commentary that she brought a very thoughtful and wise perspective to the commission, asked great questions and advanced the dialogue amongst commissioners on all of our policy making as well as the OGDP the OGDP considerations. And we wish her all the best as she moves forward with her opportunities at the National Conservation Parks Association, I think is what it is. So others with comments? Commissioner Messner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick response to, I think some of the happenings at the Capitol today. I think there was some legislators that were, they kind of publicly expressed some frustration and some desire to see additional oil and gas production occur in the state of Colorado, utilizing the war in Ukraine as a reason for that, and increased prices at the gas pump. And I think there was a lot of information that was shared in that, but I'm not sure how much of that was particularly accurate information. And so I'm wondering if it wouldn't be something for us to consider doing a work session that would invite Mr. Haley from COGA, Ms. Granger from API Colorado, perhaps some of the legislators that were involved today, including Rep. McLean, Senator Kirkmeyer, Sonnenberg, and Cook, and some operators to talk about a few things like, how oil refinery in the U.S. works and why increased production does not necessarily equate to increased diesel and gas production. Where oil and gas from Colorado goes and how it's used throughout the United States and within Colorado, how production in Colorado affects or does not affect the price at the pump or global commodity pricing. How operators in Colorado are handling production investment, including returns to stakeholders. I think it'd be good for us to talk a little bit about the quality of applications that have come in the door to us and the situations that we're seeing occasionally where we're having to return applications 6 to 10 times in order to get it to a state that it can even be deemed complete so that we can do a technical review on it. And I think so, just some general information about why operators are choosing to or not to drill with the hundreds of existing permits that they have in hand. So I think it would be good information for me. I think it would be a good opportunity to get that information on the record from some of our stakeholders so that there isn't kind of this misinformation that's going on around there. And I'm not suggesting that everything that came out today was misinformation, but perhaps that would be a good forum just to discuss these things, or not. I mean, it may or may not be our place, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Thank you, Commissioner Messner. I was not aware of those happenings, but I will follow your lead and second that suggestion, and we can see if something develops up. Perhaps what we can do is make some reach outs, have Director Murphy make some reach outs, see if we can get something set up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That sounds good.
Anything else for the good of the cause? All right, seeing no other matters, that does conclude our agenda. Thanks everybody for being with us. We had a few people here this evening. We will look forward to our next meeting, which is next Wednesday. And then we have a work session next Friday. And with that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Have a good evening, everybody.